Hi, welcome to our sound vlog where we'll be going through our opening sequence and showing all the different sounds we've got to try and make our opening sequence work.
Right, so let's go then. Because first of all, as you can hear, the sound we have over is for our item that we have, and then we have to have a tracking sound over it, so this is what we came up with, because it actually, well, it fitted with the shot that came up in the picture.
So we had the bell shot in here at the start because the sound's been very low up to then, and in keeping with the psychological horror genre conventions, which also was our chosen genre, we made the sound levels for that really loud when we're editing it, basically to shock the audience, which again is a convention of the psychological horror genre. It also shows the stereotypical school as well, because that's like one of the most stereotypical images linked with the school.
Okay, so that sound there was a static sound effects that we also put over a static like transition that went from a wide shot into the security camera, and we basically just put that into effect to have a really different transition as to just cutting from one shot to the security camera. It actually makes it look a bit more technological, so to say. There's another one to finish the scene.
Right, what you might be able to tell there's a backing track of birds because he's outside. There's obviously the mild wind and bird sound that we found over the internet, and on some of it on the actual software's pre-built into it. And also you could hear mildly there was footsteps, which fitted in well with each step, which was good because it was quite hard to do that.
So if you could just hear that just earlier, there was the clock ticking, which was a constant throughout a large section of our opening sequence. Basically, we made it quite loud to show how slow time's going in the detention over the boring shots, which again is a stereotypical thing you would link to detentions, and shows the setting. And also the door closing there, we got the sound effect from the Mac panel, just to show match on action with the images going on the screen.
Okay. So I don't know if you heard it, but just then I walked over and it was a low shot, and I pulled the chair back and sat down, and we actually added a sound effect that we took off of a YouTube clip of a chair scraping as it went along the floor, and it fits quite nicely, and it happens twice. It happens just then when I pull the chair out, and when I tuck my chair in again, it will happen. There, if you didn't hear it. Again, the whole point of this clock is just to constantly show the its time is constantly going on, so the clock ticking is constant.
Then you can see we just had the another static shot or static sound clip because we then again went on to a camera, CCTV camera shot, which it helps transition to show the changes in the room, the entire room. Okay, it went on again. You can hear the static helps introduce the shot and exit the shot.
So basically the main middle of our opening sequence is basically made up of clock and security camera shots. Again, the silence that's mainly there, because there's not a lot of sound as you can tell, is again, just to show how boring the situation is to the audience, which is kind of what we wanted to create in contrast to what's going to happen later.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that, but at that point, the nerd, Razan Khan, was writing on his paper, and we actually got a scribbling sound effect that we recorded ourselves through another room back here, and we got a little sound recorder, put it there, and did some big scribbles on a piece of paper, and when we took it into the sound profile, we uploaded it and emphasised the sound and timed it well, so when Isam started writing, the sound came up as well.
You know, it's quite easy to notice that it's quite a louder sound. It's the two friends discussing a football game and the goal scored. This helps add to linking characters. Since they're not protagonists, they're just background characters, but it still helps to add effect by linking characters. So it's still quite boring because they're just discussing a football game, which doesn't add to the story. It's just them being stereotypical students, which is just what they are. Continuing, we still had the clock sound all throughout it. It's not stopped. Continuing, it's still the clock sound. It's quite a dull. We're trying to keep the beginning of it quite dull so that there is, so we can build up the tension.
Oh, again, there's another security camera effect.
This takes up quite a lot of space of quite a lot of our video, but it adds for effect.
That one was a bit quiet, but that was just a dubbed voiceover of me yawning, which I put over the top and then put my head down. I didn't actually sound that, but that's fine.
Very hard to hear there, but there's a slight tracking overshot or over sound of him, of just quite eerie music as he wakes up, and you can hear snorting and kind of heavy breathing as he's just woken up, he's just getting up. It's quite like something you do if you've been sleeping for quite a while.
So the dialogue here was just to highlight to the audience, basically to look at the clock. I mean, we have the changing focal shots, which kind of points them to the clock, but the dialogue basically shows that the time is 8 o'clock, which obviously is a lot later than any of the shots, and just shows the progression of time throughout the shot. And with the expletive, is basically going to basically show the audience how late it is and how completely different it is to the rest of the shot in terms of style.
Okay, so that bit is when I actually look up and leave, and as you can tell, the clock ticking stopped, and that's because time has it's basically meant to symbolise how time has been going on, been dragging out, been boring, and it's all been leading up to this moment where the time kind of stops, and you get this quite high-pitched drone sound going over the top of all these different images of the corpses, bodies, and such, and it's meant to really build up the tension and the atmosphere of this sudden shocking thing that's being shown to the audience, considering it's been really boring up until this point.
All the droning carries on, and it carries on through that. I know it's going to carry on into a high-pitch squeal or like screech that's happening as it's showing. The most shocking scene is that the protagonist has a bloody hand, and he's most likely the murderer. And it's very large drumming, droning sound, which just adds to the tension and to the shock factor. And it also still finishes with the backtracking noise of him being outside. There is the very light sense you can hear the birds, and the background noise you would still hear.
Yeah, the background noise of the birds just contrasts the shocking images that the audience are seeing with the serenity of the bird song, and that plays over the titles, just to basically, as the audience is shocked, you can just hear the completely like contrasting image of the bird singing and the serenity shown by that.
Alright, so that's the end of our sound vlog. That's it. Cool. Goodbye.